Have you ever wondered why it feels like rich people always want to keep poor people struggling? Why is it that despite working hard, many remain trapped in the same cycle of poverty, while the wealthy seem to grow richer by the day? The confusing part is, the system looks fair on the surface. Work harder, earn more, move up. But in reality, it often feels like the game is rigged. In this video, I will show you 3 major factors that explain why the rich benefit from keeping poor people broke. Number 1. Dependency through low wages. One of the biggest reasons why rich people prefer poor people to remain broke is wages. Think about it. The entire business model of many wealthy corporations runs on cheap labor. If workers suddenly had more money, they wouldn't accept minimum wage jobs. They would demand fair pay, benefits, and better working conditions. That shift would cut into corporate profits massively. By keeping wages low, the rich ensure a steady supply of desperate workers who have no choice but to accept whatever is offered. This dependency is powerful. For example, in many developing nations, garment workers earn less than $200 a month, while the brands they work for make billions. Why? Because the rich know that poor workers need the job more than the company needs them as individuals. It's not just about low pay. It's also about financial traps. Credit card debt, payday loans, and rent increases eat up the little that poor people earn. As a result, even if someone works 2 jobs, they remain stuck. This cycle benefits the rich because they get cheap labor, plus interest payments from the same people through banks, loans, and credit systems. In short, keeping people broke ensures the machine keeps running smoothly. The fewer options the poor have, the more power the rich hold over them. Now, what is the solution for it? Build multiple income sources like side hustles, freelancing, small businesses, so you're not fully dependent on one low-paying job. Improve high-demand skills that companies can't easily replace, which allows you to negotiate higher pay. Save and invest a fixed portion of your income, no matter how small, to slowly reduce financial dependency. Number 2. Consumer manipulation and endless spending. The second reason rich people benefit from broke poor people is consumption. Companies need buyers as much as they need workers. The irony is, the poor often spend more of their income on consumer goods than the rich do, because they're influenced by advertisements and social pressures. Rich corporations design marketing strategies that target emotional triggers. They create the illusion that happiness, respect, and even self-worth can be bought through new phones, clothes, or lifestyle products. For someone struggling financially, these purchases bring short-term relief or status, but they lead to long-term financial damage. Take smartphones as an example. Every year, companies push new models with only slight improvements. People who can least afford them often stand in long lines or take loans to get them. For the company, this is perfect. Steady revenue from customers who will keep coming back even if it means sinking deeper into debt. It's not accidental. Rich people invest heavily in psychology, branding, and marketing to keep poor people buying things they don't need. Why? Because the economy thrives when people consume endlessly. If poor people suddenly became financially smart and refused to waste money on unnecessary things, many industries would collapse. So the system quietly encourages overspending and poor money habits while blaming individuals for not saving enough. This cycle ensures the rich get richer while the poor stay broke. Not because they don't earn, but because they're taught to spend before they can ever save or invest. Now, what is the solution for it? Differentiate between needs and wants before buying. Delay purchases to see if they're truly necessary. Create a strict budget and track expenses so that marketing tricks don't control your wallet. Focus on long-term assets like investments and savings, rather than short-term status symbols. And number 3, control of knowledge and financial education. The third factor is perhaps the most dangerous: control of financial knowledge. The rich know that money grows not just through earning, but through managing, investing, and multiplying it. Unfortunately, this knowledge is rarely taught in schools. Instead, education often trains people to be good employees, not financially independent individuals. Rich people benefit from this ignorance. If poor people understood compound interest, passive income, real estate, and stock market investing, they could start building wealth of their own. But by keeping this knowledge limited to elite circles, the wealthy ensure the poor remain dependent on jobs and debt. For example, look at how credit cards and loans are marketed. Banks highlight rewards and convenience, but they hide the brutal math of 30% annual interest rates. Without financial literacy, many people fall into debt traps they can't escape. The system works exactly as designed. Profits for the rich, losses for the poor. Even when financial education is available, it's often presented in complicated jargon that discourages people from learning. Meanwhile, the rich hire advisors, attend private seminars, and use insider information to stay ahead. This isn't about intelligence, it's about access. And access is something the rich guard closely. The lack of financial education keeps poor people broke, not because they're lazy, but because they're playing a game without knowing the rules. The rich not only know the rules, they created them. Now what is the solution for it? Dedicate time weekly to learn personal finance basics like budgeting, investing, and debt management. Use free resources like books, podcasts, YouTube channels to gain financial literacy that schools never teach. Apply knowledge in small steps like starting a SIP, mutual fund, or emergency fund to turn theory into real progress. Dedicate even 30 minutes a week to reading a personal finance book, watching a trusted finance channel, or listening to a podcast that explains money in simple terms. Start small. Learn how to budget your income, set aside an emergency fund, and understand the difference between good debt like a home loan and bad debt like credit card balances. Apply every concept you learn with small steps in your real life. The more financially educated you become, the harder it is for anyone, whether rich people or big corporations, to keep you trapped in poverty. Now the full picture becomes clear. The cycle of poverty isn't an accident. It's carefully reinforced through three powerful forces. Low wages ensure that workers remain dependent and have little chance to rise above survival mode. Consumer manipulation keeps people chasing short-term satisfaction, spending money they don't really have on things they don't really need. And the lack of financial education traps millions in debt and ignorance, making it nearly impossible to build lasting wealth. When you combine these three forces, it's easy to see why the rich keep growing richer while the poor remain stuck. But here's the part you need to hold on to. This cycle is not permanent. Once you recognize the system, you can start to fight back. You can invest in learning financial skills, resist unnecessary spending, and create new streams of income. Small changes in your habits, saving before spending, building an emergency fund, or starting a side hustle, can completely change your future. The rich may benefit from keeping you broke, but you don't have to play by their rules. With awareness, action, and consistent effort, you can break free from the trap and begin building real financial independence. If you found this video helpful, then like, share, and subscribe this channel to get future videos.